gun walking near and then onto the campus. When cops showed up, they were confronted by a gentleman who was not too happy about the fact that they were investigating him, especially considering the fact that Michigan has open carry laws. Now, the video that you're about to see is incredible because I can't really imagine most people getting away with what he just got away with. Take a look.
I'm guessing dispatch got a report of somebody walking with a rifle slung over their back.
That would be my assumption.
Right. So, I mean, in a legal sense, it's just as legal as me walking down the street with my dog. You don't need to have your hand on your gun, man. Oh, you do?
That's part of what we do. Okay.
What's
Let me
that?
explain something to you. Okay.
It's a resting area.
It's an arresting area?
Sir.
It's a resting.
Resting area? Can I rest my hand on my gun?
Sir.
Do what you feel you need to do, sir.
Will you shoot me?
Do what you need to do.
So you got your hand on your gun because it's comfortable. But we both know that if I were to do something similar, you guys would pull your guns on me and maybe even shoot me. I'm advising you guys that you need to take a long, hard look in the mirror. I don't know if any of y'all ever served in the military, but the oath you took to the Constitution, you take something very similar when you pin that shiny little badge to your chest, do you not?
Okay.
Does that mean anything to you?
It does. It does.
Does it?
It does. Yes, sir.
How about you, sir? It does. How about you? Hey, Mr. Earp, how about you? Come on, Wyatt, answer my question. Apparently you don't understand that you don't have the authority to tell me what to do.
Okay, that's
Okay, all right. See you, tough guy.
Bye.
Bye. See you, Wyatt.
I have to say, I really respect the way the cops handled that situation, right? Because when you hear story after story of cops acting brutally towards someone who might pose a little bit of a threat, it's surprising to see that they just walked away when this guy is basically taunting them, right?
No,
No?
I'm not going to give them any credit at all. The reason they did that is because he's white.
Jake, you don't know that, though.
No, I do know that. No, I do know that.
But you don't know
You
those
telling
cops.
me that a guy walks up with a serious weapon near a school and was on school grounds for a while, and he's black. They'd have mowed him down in the street. I guaranteed it. Okay, he's gonna walk by the cops with a weapon. We just did a story yesterday about a black guy who was naked, who was clearly unarmed, and they shot him anyway, and they killed him.
Cenk, I understand that. I reported on that story. Those are not the same cops. So
I know, but how many stories have we done, Ann?
I know,
How many stories
Cenk,
have we done?
I know,
A black
I
guy
know.
looked at him wrong, and they murder him,
Cenk,
right?
I get it. But again, you don't know these specific cops.
I
No,
know.
you don't.
If that's a
unfair.
black guy, they put him dead in the street. They put him dead in the street. They don't even think about it. They shoot him in 2 seconds. I know it happened
All
in
right,
Cleveland.
so every single cop in the United States will shoot a black man.
In a situation like that, he's walking into school with heavy weaponry.
Every single cop.
They're not going
All right.
to ask questions. They're not going to have a polite conversation. They're going to mow him down. They're going to kill him. But it's a white guy? Well, he's got right to guns. He's got a Second Amendment right. He's got a Second Amendment. You're a white guy, you walk around with any kind of weapon you like, or just wave it around kids. Who gives a shit? You're white. You got rights in this country. You're black. You have no weapon. Oh, you charged at a cop. You looked at a cop. You ran towards a cop. I don't care that you didn't. I thought you were going to draw a weapon, even though you were naked. What were you going to hide? No, I don't care. I'm going to kill you because you're black. Okay. Now I know I'm angry. I know I'm taking it over the top. But this guy, he would have no chance if he was black. No chance, okay? Instead, white people get to walk around in Targets, Walmart, Starbucks, and not Starbucks. Starbucks doesn't let them, okay? Into schools, and cops come around and go, hey, how you doing? And you see what happened at the end there? The cops drove off. They're like, oh, okay, yes, of course you have rights to weaponry. Well, how come they didn't tell Tamir Rice that he had a right to a weapon when he didn't even have a weapon? He had a toy gun and he was a 12-year-old. Well, why didn't they say, hey, wait a minute, maybe they said they thought he was a 23-year-old with a real weapon. They were wrong on all those counts. Even if he was, wouldn't he have a right to that weapon? Wouldn't he have a right to that? How about that guy that they mowed down in the Walmart? Didn't he have a right to a weapon? Now, I see white guys walking around in Walmarts all the time. They never get shot. They never get shot, right? So this guy gets to walk around because he's white, and he can point weapons anywhere he likes. So that's the kind of country we live in. So if you're white, have at it, Hoss. Then you got different rules.
Well,
you get any kind of weapon you like,
Okay.
and pointing it right at the cops, they won't do a thing to you. You're black, you look at them kind of funny, and they'll mow you down.
All right, well, there's another issue here, which is what that guy was doing was totally legal in the state of Michigan, right? apparently you can
What Tamir
walk
Rice
around.
was doing was legal.
No,
the
no,
guy
no,
in Walmart
I
was
know,
legal.
Jake,
Everything was legal.
we already touched on the race issue. There's another issue, right? So if you have some guy walking around with open carry with a gun out in the open, how do you determine whether or not someone's a good person or a bad person, right? How do you know whether or not someone's a threat? So if I have my kids going to that particular school and there's some dude walking around with his gun just out in the open, I'm going to be concerned about it, right? Because I don't know who that guy is.
So
I don't know whether or not he's going to go around provoking people, which is exactly what this dude was doing in this particular video, right?
You're 1,000,000% right about this. So the laws in Michigan are insane. So you get to walk around my kids with weapons? This guy's mentally imbalanced. He calls himself Nunya Beeswax, okay? Or Nutter Butter, or whatever he calls himself, okay? Goes around in fatigues, waving guns around. He thinks he has the right. Nobody even knows if he has a permit for the gun. The cops, since he's white, didn't even ask for a permit. If you're white, we assume that you're innocent, no matter what you're doing. If you're black, no matter what you're doing, we assume you're guilty, right? So they didn't even ask him for a permit. He says on his blog he doesn't have one. He doesn't need one. No, you do need one. You do need one, but they didn't even bother asking. So if this lunatic is, look at the chaos you're going to create. Because if this lunatic is walking around my kid's school with a weapon, you know what I'm going to want to do? I'm going to want to show up with a weapon. Then we got a goddamn mess on our hands, okay? God help a black parent, if they showed up with a weapon to protect their kid, you think they wouldn't get shot? They'd shoot the parent dead, okay? This guy's Second Amendment rights. You know, and they say liberals don't like cops. We're too hard on cops. Are you kidding me? We don't want to kill cops. Conservatives walk around with weapons right next to cops, and they say, oh, yeah, you think you're tough guys. You're not tough guys. The guys at the Bundy Ranch, they pointed their weapons at the cops. They pointed all their weapons at the cops. If they were black, they would have all been killed. They would have sent in a drone. They would have called in an airstrike on those guys. They get to point weapons at cops, and nothing gets done about it. The imbalance in this justice system and the police state that we have in America is grotesque. All right, JR, unbelievably, this is an interesting part of the story, went to this high school, okay? Can you imagine? Look, JR, can you imagine you got a black guy with a gun that shows up at that school, okay, on the school grounds, just like this guy, same exact fact pattern. And the cops show up, and then he says, I have a right to this gun. And they have a conversation for a couple of minutes, and the cops go, oh, okay, and they get back in their car and leave.
No, man. Actually, and the taunting part actually kind of got me even more because even if, I mean, I'm not expecting them or asking for them to shoot this guy, but they weren't even annoyed that he was, I guess, what they take as usually when someone says anything back to them, is taking away their manhood or being disrespectful is always the term. He was being very disrespectful, but, you know, it was the sirs were still getting tossed around and answering their questions diligently. Well, yeah, you know, I stand for my badge. I like to represent what I represent. So those questions are being asked. And again, from Anna's point, I'm fine they didn't shoot him. Yeah, cool. I'm glad they didn't shoot the guy. But he's asking for that. That's what he wants for some reason, which would tell us he's a little bit off. This reaction that these cops had to this guy is what you'd expect them to have with everyone else. But what's been proven is that they don't. And when we say they, we're talking about all cops. So it's, you know, we know that's a generalization because every cop doesn't do this. But we keep hearing stories about how a majority of them do it. So that's where the problem lies. And yeah, so in case from the disagreement you guys had, I don't want it to seem like Jenks saying, I'm expecting these guys to shoot him. I wanted them to kill him dead. Shoot him in the fucking face. But that's what they've been doing. Why not? Why have they been doing it that way is the question.
Yeah, of course. So just in case anybody's confused about that, of course Anna's right that I don't want the guy getting shot. I'm glad they handled it that way. Although I would have wished that they actually were a little tougher on him and asked for a permit and evidence that he had the right to carry that weapon anywhere near the school, and they could have stayed around to make sure he didn't go back on school grounds, right? But of course I don't want that guy getting shot, right? I also don't want all the other black people getting shot, which obviously you don't want either. So we're not really disagreeing that much, but I got worked up in the story because I can't. There's too many stories with the disparity, and it's too stark. And then I think the other thing that's getting under my skin is all the people commenting online. Oh, no, we don't see it. We don't see it. There's no disparity. There's no disparity. Nothing. No. If you can't see the disparity.
Be outside. News.